Hi, welcome to the Eastern Township School Board series of videos. In this module, we're going to explore basic terms as far as computers are concerned, part of the Introduction to Technologies for Learning course. So, let's look at a few basic computer terms and definitions. First of all, the computer is the device that will run programs. So you have two types of computers. You have Windows computers and you have Mac computers. You also have a Unix computer, but the main ones are Windows and Mac. Now there's a lot of terms in here in this file. There's CPU, for example. You don't really need to know that. Operating system, when people talk about an OS, they're talking to either about Windows, Unix, or Macintosh. And Macintosh OS is called OS X or OS 10. Windows is also Windows 10, but they change constantly. Software or a program or an application, they're all synonymous. They mean that you run software, for example, a browser software. Anything that you launch on your computer to perform a task is a software. The monitor, of course, is what you're looking things on. We strongly recommend when you're taking this class to have two monitors. Especially if you use a laptop, it's good to have a monitor on the side as well. The desktop, that's an important one to know. That's the main thing you see when you launch your computer. Whether you're launching a Macintosh, a Windows, or a Chromebook, when it opens up and you've put your password, you go into it, what you see first is your desktop. Most people have very cluttered desktop with lots of documents and so on and so forth. So in the next modules, I'm going to show you how to take care of that. An icon, also a very important concept for computers. An icon is a little representation of something. If you watch my screen, if I go at the bottom of my screen, I've got lots of icons down here. Each icon represents an application, whether it's something like Preview, or the browser, Google Chrome, or Safari, or Photoshop, InDesign. Each one of them is a little icon. An icon, when you click on it, or sometimes double click, it will launch that program. So when we talk about an icon, whether it's on your telephone, you've got little icons, you click on them and they launch. That's what we're talking about. A mouse is, of course, what you use to interact with your computer, and if you're on a laptop, you use a trackpad. Now, of course, the keyboard is what you use to type, whether it's a physical keyboard or whether it's a virtual keyboard, as is the case of on an iPad or a telephone. CDs, we don't use those much, but we do use USB drives. USB drives are great, extremely practical for storage. They allow you to move files around, keep files with you, and also make backups of your computer. Now, the two most important concepts when we talk about computer, the next ones, a file and a folder. Now, a file is something that you save when you're in a program. Let's say, for example, you're using Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel or any program like Photoshop. When you work on a file, you save that file. Files are saved on your computer, on your hard drive, which we'll see later on. Now, files can be grouped together inside of a folder. So these analogy, like a desktop, file, folder, all come from the real world. Of course, we used to have a desk, and on our desk we'd have folders, and inside the folders we'd have different files. So for example, if we're talking about accounting, we could have a folder that has our invoices, a folder that has all of our bills, and etc. So you put files inside a folder. It's the same on the computer, and in the next module, when we look at creating files and creating folders and organizing them, you'll learn more about that. Now, a hard drive is the device inside your computer where information is stored. So a hard drive is a piece of equipment that is either a moving hard drive or a solid state drive with no moving parts. Modern computers often have a solid state drive which has no moving parts, so much less prone to breaking, and it's much faster to access it since it doesn't have to to move in order to get to the information. It's accessible very quickly. And then we have the hardware. Hardware is everything around your computer, like your monitors, your keyboard, your mouse, your printers, etc. A browser is what we use to go on the internet. The internet and the World Wide Web, basically interchangeable pretty much these days. It's how you access a worldwide network of information. Peripherals, these are input or output devices connected to your computer. For example, a mouse is a peripheral. So is a keyboard, so is a printer. So these are hardware, but are also peripherals when they're external to the computer. A network is how you access the internet, whether it's a connected network directly in your computer or most likely through Wi-Fi. So that's what a network is. You can have multiple networks in your area. In the school, you might have a guest network, you might have the teacher's network, so on and so forth. A virus is a program that will install itself unbeknownst to you on your computer, on your hard drive, and will disrupt you in many different ways. So they're basically like human viruses in that they will go inside your system and wreak havoc. If you use antivirus software, it's a good thing to do because you don't want viruses. Now, downloading is going on the internet and grabbing a file and putting it on your hard drive. You can also do so through a CD, less likely, or a USB key. You can transfer files using USB keys, but again, most likely it's going on the internet and downloading, whether it's an image or a file, so on and so forth. Spam mail and scams, very tricky. Be aware, those exist. If you're not quite sure if it looks too good or if it's something alarming like your bank contacting you saying that somebody is trying to get into your account, do not panic. These are scam mail. They're trying to get you, so you don't have to worry about those. There's a module that talks about all the security that you can watch. Surfing the internet basically means going on the internet and going from a website to website to website, whether to check your news or whatever hobby you're into. A modem is how you connect to the internet. Mostly they're Wi-Fi these days. So there's two physical boxes as far as modem are concerned. You have your actual modem and then you have a router. Doesn't appear here, but the modem is the piece of equipment that comes with your cable company or your internet company that will actually receive the signal. The router is what broadcasts the signal or creates the Wi-Fi network. So a modem is typically connected straight into, a router is connected straight into a modem. The modem gets the information, the router transmits that information. Rebooting is something we do a lot in the computer world. Rebooting means restarting your computer. Here's a little tip. If you have a laptop, there's no need to turn it off. Actually turning on and off a laptop or a computer is what gives it the jolt of energy, and that is on the long term a bit more damaging. So the best thing to do is to put your computer to sleep, or on the laptop just close the lid and let it sleep. When you lift the lid again, it will wake up without having to be rebooted constantly. A crash is when you're in a program and it stops working. You're working in Word, you're writing on a file, and all of a sudden it disappears and you're back on your desktop. So that's a crash. Sometimes the actual operating system will crash. So if there's a crash, you might lose some work. Fortunately for you, if you use Google Drive and Google Apps, even if there is a crash, you're not going to lose anything. It's the same with Gmail. If you start writing text and there's a power outage, then you're not going to lose a thing. You just wait till the power is back on, go back on Gmail, go back on your Drive, go back to Google Sheets, and you'll have access to your document exactly as it was when it crashed. So there you go. Those are the basic terms. Again, the most important ones to remember is your hard drive, that's where your information is stored, creating files and creating folders.